Welcome back to another episode of a podcast about comics. This is your boy Tchallabp74 and my man
Keitanooo.
We have an interesting show for you guys today. It is called The Illuminati. But before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like and subscribe, follow us on all news, rumors, confirmations, and gossip. Keitanooo, how are you doing today?
Today's a good day. Today's a good day.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, so I'm not sure if you saw the article that came out, I think, 3-4 days ago?
I thought I sent you that article. Did I not send you? I think I sent you that article, and I was like, is this true?
Yeah, well, we don't know, so we're going to put it in the rumor category.
Okay.
But until it's confirmed, it's big news.
Okay.
Right? And the article reads, in Doctor Strange 2 will reportedly feature the debut of 3 big Marvel characters. Namor the Submariner, Reed Richards, and Charles Xavier to set up what is called the Illuminati. So what do you know about the Illuminati, brother?
Secret organization. That's about all I got.
That's all you got?
Got some big names in there, with Reed, Namor.
You gotta give me more than that.
Look, I can't give you more. I can't give you what I don't have.
Okay.
I just don't have it, bro. Okay. I mean, I've read some comics where they were a part of whatever the discussion was, whatever the big decision was. But that's all I know. Like, I couldn't tell you how they came together. I couldn't tell you under what circumstances they came together, what type of decisions they were in charge of. I couldn't tell you any of that stuff.
Okay, well, this is how the Illuminati functioned. The Illuminati was the head of all the major groups. They came together to form this literally like fraternity or secret order. Just in case they can always have a contingency plan, or they'll know what to expect and how to move forward and so on. Okay. And it was originally 5. It was supposed to be 6. It was formed by Tony Stark, of course, Black Bolt. Okay. Tony Stark was the head of Avengers. Right. Black Bolt was there. He was the head of the Humans. Right. Namor the Submariner, head of the Atlanteans. Reed Richards, the head of Fantastic Four, and Charles Xavier, who were the head of the X-Men. Right. They had asked T'Challa, head of the Wakandans, to be a part of this secret society. And he told them no. He was like, listen, this is going to be a cancer that's going to blow up in your face. I don't want to be a part of it. And he walked away.
But he does become a part of this later on.
He does. Once the Illuminati is disbanded later on, when the incursions started happening, T'Challa was the one who actually reformed the Illuminati. And it was because he had an incursion happen right in front of his face in Wakanda. And he realized what was at stake and what was happening. Because, Wakanda and the tech, they always leagues and bounds ahead of everybody else. And he reforms the Illuminati. Okay. But going forward from the first Illuminati, he had walked away and told him he didn't want to be a part of it. Okay.
All right, let me pause real quick. I'm going to ask you a question that I don't normally ask, but I think I might start putting this in. Okay. If people wanted to read any of the particular comics that help us see the story that you're saying, what do you know? Is there a graphic novel series, or is there, how there's House of M and there's Avengers Disassembled that they put them in, they stacked them into books. So is there something that really talks about this?
You would have to have multiple issues because, multiple times they met. It wasn't like a specific time.
So it's not a particular story arc that does.
As a matter of fact, I think the story, I'm trying to remember if it was right before the new Avengers series.
Okay.
When they came together.
Okay.
Or was it after House of M, maybe? I think it might have been after House of M is when they first, when they formed.
Now, Avengers Disassembled is before House of M, or is it afterwards?
It's before House of M.
Okay. Okay.
And these guys start this Illuminati, and they sit down behind closed doors and they strategize and they plan and map out whatever. Now, here's the thing. And when I read this article, I'm like, okay, it's cool that they would go that route, but I think it shouldn't be happening now.
Well, let's assume for a moment that it does happen now. Okay. In this movie with Doctor Strange.
Okay.
What doors open up as a result?
Well, the first thing is you got to ask is who's all going to be a part of the players. Mm-hmm. You cannot have Tony Stark anymore because he's gone, yeah?
Of course.
Okay. If you're going to have Black Bolt, because Black Bolt was one of the original members of the Illuminati.
Right.
You got to bring in the Inhumans.
Which is not that hard to do, given the fact that there was an Inhuman show. I'm not saying it was a good show, but at least there was a show where America was or I should say the fans of the MCU were introduced to the Inhumans.
I don't know if I would say fans of the MCU because there was no ties directly to the MCU.
All right, well, fine. But you get where I'm coming from in regards to people who enjoy superheroes on TV, on screen.
And if you're going to do that, the best way to tell it is bring in the Inhumans in Miss Marvel.
Well, let me also ask, it's really not that far because they had Inhumans on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well.
Correct. Daisy is an Inhuman.
Right.
Daisy Johnson, a.k.a. Quake. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I don't think it's hard to bring the Inhumans into the MCU. I don't think that's hard to do.
No.
Just based off of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. alone.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I feel I'm not confident. And maybe it might take me a while to get there. And one of the reasons why is because I saw how important Tony was to that role. Who will lead the Avengers today for us to say they will be part of the Illuminati?
The aerospace engineer.
No. Who is the aerospace engineer?
I don't know who the aerospace engineer is. All right, I don't know.
Do you want to spiral down this
I do not want to go down that road because that would be unfair. So we're not going to do that. I shouldn't have done that. I take it back.
You can't take it back. It's a toothpaste. You already squeezed it out of the tube. You can't put it back.
You're not going to let me take it back?
No. If it is the aerospace engineer, who are we gonna assume that it is? Hank McCoy?
Well, I assume that it's Reed Richards.
Okay, and I think it's too early to put Reed in. That was my thought originally, right?
Well, we do have a void, and I call it a big brain. We have a big brain void. And to solve a lot of the problems that are introduced,
we do not have a big brain void.
Who's the big brain that we have now?
There's a few big brains. We have Bruce Banner as a big brain. Oh, come on
now. When you compare Banner to Stark.
Oh, come on. Stark respected Banner because of his big brain. Even Cap said
but I mean, do you really see Banner leading the charge from the big brain perspective?
No.
Okay. So why are we having this conversation?
Whoever is going to be a big brain don't necessarily have to lead the charge. They could just.
You said there's no void. I'm saying there is a void.
I don't think there's a void. There's a lot of big brains in the MCU or in the Marvel universe that they. All right. So what?
There's Banner. There's Pym. Pym is.
Sure. Listen.
You want to go with Shuri?
Pym is old. We cannot go with Pym. Pym is not going to suit back up now.
Exactly. So Pym's not suiting up. That leaves you Shuri.
Pym is on a beach somewhere with Janet embracing his gray hairs.
That leaves you with Shuri. Leaves you with Banner. And who else?
There's a number of people. What about, okay, granted he's a villain, but nobody talked about Victor Von Doom.
We're talking about already existing in the MCU. I said there's a void. You said there's not. Okay. So inside the MCU, who do we have besides Shuri and Banner?
Amadeus Cho.
Here you go, starting that stuff.
Listen, I honestly and truly don't know, but I can't say we need to fill this big brain, lead the charge kind of person. You just need somebody with a big brain.
Bigger than Banner, especially when you talk about sentient world type stuff.
You are only looking at it from the perspective of sitting on that table, sitting on the council from an Avengers standpoint. You're not just talking about big brain. Because again, Tony is like the second or third biggest brain that we have.
Yeah, but you know that I also look at it from a fan perspective, from a production perspective, and a storytelling perspective, and making everything kind of work seamlessly. And so there are times where you'll give a theory and I'll say that's a little too deep or too much for the current fan base, not the comic book fan base, because the comic book fan base is going to know way more details about the stories that are being put on the screens and can spot the inconsistencies much faster than someone who has never seen or read the comics before. So with that, they've made several, not they as in Marvel, but several attempts have been made for a Fantastic Four. And those attempts have not done well, at least not from a story perspective. So it's not really that hard for me to believe that now that the MCU has like a formula for how to make these movies and make them work, it's not so hard for me to believe that they'll even put him at the end of WandaVision just to carry him into Doctor Strange. It's not that hard of a leap to me.
From a lazy writing standpoint, I see where you're going. But again,
what's lazy about that, though? If anything, I think that's innovative because you're taking a character, if they even put him in WandaVision, which I don't know, but if you put him in WandaVision, what's lazy about creating the story, this character on the television screen, and then putting him on the big screen?
Give us the character right now.
Say that again.
Give us the character for the listeners. Who's the character?
We said Reed.
You said Reed, right?
Right.
You and I have come to terms with this many times. Marvel plays the what?
It's a long game. I get that.
Okay. If you're gonna bring in Fantastic Four, and I'm speaking logically,
you
bring in Fantastic Four
to host a secret meeting.
A character as big as Reed Richards, you're not gonna introduce him in a Disney Plus.
Let me ask you this.
Reed Richards.
When year did Iron Man come out?
Professor Xavier from the School for Gifted Youngsters.
So now it is 10 years later. Are you saying that 10 years is not a part of a long game to bring in Reed Richards?
Offered his thoughts on this team. They each represent a certain
not talking about phase. Talking about the existence. Because see,
look at it. If that was the case, why did we get T'Challa in 2015, 2016 versus
Tony
getting
Stark
him in 2011
a certain type
or 2012?
Of hero. We
saw Captain America in Phase 1 and his shield, and they say that's the only source of vibranium.
The government.
Why did it take so long for us to get Black Panther?
Read as the science side of the heroes.
I could theorize, but all I'm saying is 10 you tend to look at it in phases, and so does the people who are in Hollywood as far as the ones behind making these films. But the average viewer is not looking at, we're in phase 1, and now we're in phase 2, and this phase is too early in this phase to bring in that character. What we look at is the entire franchise of it all, from its inception to now. And so
Marvel also plays chess, and they also
individually they knew the players, the risks.
I don't see anything.
What's wrong
with bringing the
regionalized knowledge?
It's premature.
Tony said if they had a more unified structure amongst themselves,
you have to
aliens might not have come to Earth as they did in the Kree War. Instead of factions of heroes and mutants.
And keep in mind, this is a pandemic era.
Their resources.
We're now in the pandemic. Which means that you have to think out the box for certain things. So it's not so far.
Let me ask you a question.
With the X-Men and architect of the Kree War, Black
Kevin Feige said when they asked him about
like Scarlet
I don't listen to any of those interviews, so I couldn't tell you. None of that.
Okay, let me reiterate what he said. He said, I have not casted for any of those roles as of yet.
They wouldn't form a
how long ago was that?
But they would periodically meet in secret to share information. They agreed to meet and share information, but keep each other's secrets relegated to the backs of their minds and to the boardroom table until ensure that they unanimously agreed to let Professor Xavier
there are times where you speak and you make it sound like there are rules to this game.
No. He actually feared that we know the rules. Turmoil in the group,
if there are rules, I want to say that we are probably not privy to those rules.
Their first order of business was to travel to the
fact that you'll say it's too early, and then you'll say,
tell them that they would not tolerate another
it's too many possibilities, too many variables.
Listen, I have every right to have a belief.
You
do. What I'm also saying is,
how many theories have I shot since the show?
That's my point. That is my point. You will give a theory. You will give a theory as if it's a fact. Not that you say it's a fact. I don't want you to make it sound like that, but I will say.
I give you a theory, and it's so good of a theory.
He told them he got it from She-Hulk, who took it from Titania. Their task was to get all 6 of the stones together before Thanos or anyone else could again gather them and destroy the universe.
Now, it could be an epic fail.
Reed opened the case and revealed that
the thing is, you will give a theory, and then like a little bit later on, you were like, you know what?
Soul Gem and the Red Power Gem.
Because anything really is possible.
Doctor Strange, Namor, Professor X, who's Cerebro at the expansion to find the Mind Stone, while Tony, Reed, and Black Bolt went to the Baxter building to use Reed's tech to locate the reality gem. And the Illuminati came together again, which summoned the time gem, the final gem, to them. And so, with the Watcher's advice, the Illuminati.
Oh, you're talking about the other guy, the one I can't remember his name because he hasn't been a significant part of it.
Iron Man got the reality gem, Professor X got the mind gem, Namor got the power gem, Black Bolt got the space gem,
and look,
Doctor Strange got the
word
soul
wonder
gem.
for me tends to tie to Wonder
pages of Iron Man 173.
I'm not saying that
it's not my fault that you're not
Stark International.
I'm just saying that I don't know this Wonder Man guy.
Tony to
but there are tons of characters that I don't know.
And to the streets of New York.
Who knows? Maybe they'll make us love
the
Wonder
Illuminati
Man.
was called together this time at Doctor Strange's house. They wanted to help their friend, but Black Bolt and Namor said
because I never said it was not Wonder Man.
That he had to defeat his inner demons first if he was able to defeat
the
alien invasions and superpowered megalomaniacs. Eventually, he did defeat his demons.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What if it's Hank McCoy?
His place at their table. After the Beyonders,
if it's Hank McCoy, then I will have inadvertently
for Secret Wars,
brought something
in the wake of
made
that,
a prediction
Secret
about
Wars
something
2
from a completely
looming over
different
the horizon. Professor Xavier
piece of
called
evidence.
another meeting.
that I got wrong.
Out in a stolen
I'd be right for something I was wrong
to be both mutant and inhuman.
Because you remember, I always thought that, or not always, but the first episode or first 2 episodes,
their idea was that he would kneel before his
the X-Men were coming. But the reason why I thought that was
the theory why you thought they were coming.
It was completely off. Like the theory was completely off, right?
Yes.
But if it is Hank McCoy, then that means I was right from a wrong perspective.
I have nothing for you, brother. I have nothing for you.
Could you imagine if I was actually right about X-Men showing up into the MCU? And you'd be like,
the X-Men are coming. It's inevitable.
But if it was a result of something that we saw in WandaVision, you'd be like, that doggone Keitanooo, I don't know how he did it.
No, I'm not going to say that at all.
No, you're not.
No, I'm going
to say it for both of us then.
I'm going to high five you, man. I'm going to give you props.
You're going to give me props.
I'm going to give you props.
Hey.
But I would go with a Simon Williams or a Hank McCoy before I go with a Reed Richards. Even though it would make sense if it is Reed to build something that could.
Well, to me, it also just the fact that you've had 2 dismal attempts at Fantastic Four is another reason for me to say that this is probably a time where they would start working Reed Richards in.
I don't know. Listen, man, because of how bizarre this show is, anything is possible.
Yeah.
So no matter the theory that I have, and I keep saying this to you whenever I drop a theory, I say, but anything
is possible. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because it could go left, it could go right. And I remember, and if you recall me saying this to you, what if it is Agnes that's pulling strings, that's controlling Wanda?
Hey, whoa. Now you're starting to veer off. See, I caught you.
Okay, but I'm just saying because anything is possible. So even though, we're going to be doing the Wanda wrap-up or whatever, I'm just saying
you have been dying to talk about WandaVision.
I have, because, the fans want to hear it. Fans, I know y'all want to talk about WandaVision. But, we're going to be doing our full WandaVision wrap-up after the finale.
Fans, I told him from now on, if you want to do these things, you need to stop doing it at the very beginning of the show and wait a little bit.
Hey, there's 9 episodes.
There is.
Anyway, either way, I still think it's too early to talk Reed Richards. It's way too early.
I hear you.
And if this article is right, they say make a debut. So if Reed Richards is gonna make a debut, I see him more showing up where? In Doctor Strange 2, then in this.
Well, I mean, with WandaVision, we don't necessarily have to see a aerospace engineer at all anyway, based off of the way things going. It may get to the point where
you think for 2 episodes where she talk about her guy and we're not gonna see who her guy is.
Well, I think she's got 2 guys.
Yes, she got somebody to get her in the hex.
Right. So I think we might, for all we may see that person before we see the aerospace engineer.
I think that person is Doctor Strange.
I do too.
But again, Hank McCoy or Simon Williams. Too many things is leading towards Simon Williams.
Hey, I don't. Again, Simon Williams, Wonder Man. Not a character that I'm familiar with.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of people out there who doesn't know about Simon Williams, aka Wonder Man, because first of all, we're talking the general mass here, which is these people who just started, 11 years ago, got into Iron Man and became new fans. We're not talking about the diehard comic book readers from 10, 20, 15, 35, 40, how many ever years ago. We're not talking about those. We're talking about the new fans.
Well, the challenge that I have with this particular part of the conversation is we have, even though we didn't see them on screen, we knew who Iron Man was. We knew who the Hulk was. We knew who Thor is. It's hard to not know. It's hard to not know Nick Fury. Now, I will say, when it comes to Black Widow, I wasn't familiar with her at the way back then. I wasn't familiar with her. Who else was I not familiar with? I had already known about Ant-Man. Didn't really know about him, but I knew the character, that there was a character called Ant-Man. I never heard of Wonder Man until it came out of your mouth. Not tonight, but I think on the ride to Atlanta. I think that was the first time
you was like, "Who's that?
Who is that?"
And then I broke it down to you.
Yeah. Right. So my point in saying that is, it's easier. Like the people know Reed Richards. The comic book fans know Simon Williams. Everyone knows Reed Richards. Half of them know Wonder Man.
No. I don't think everybody. Again, you have new fans.
I get that, but the reason why I'm saying that is because we have first of all, when was Reed Richards first introduced into comics? 60s or the 50s?
I want to say it was the 60s.
All right, so the 60s. And then
if it wasn't the 60s, it was early 70s.
And not only that though, there's been the Fantastic Four, and I think they had 2, and then they did a remake with
Michael B. Jordan.
With Michael B. Jordan in it. So again, everyone knows who Reed Richards is because you've probably seen one of those bad productions.
Everybody didn't watch that crap.
Hey, listen, Michael is so hot right now that people are going back to watch it just to see him in the suit.
I disagree.
Hey, you can disagree all you want. I'm just telling you that more people know about Reed Richards than know about Simon Williams. If you want to put a poll out, and the Family Feud and ask 100 people, who do you know, Reed Richards or Simon Williams? I'm willing to bet the poll would indicate that 74% know Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Right. Which is
I have had this argument for the last couple months. New fans versus what?
True fans, old fans, what?
No, you said it right. New fans versus true fans.
Okay.
Just because you're a new fan don't make you a true fan.
Yeah.
So true fans know who Wonder Man is. And if you're talking Wanda and Vision, you're going to be talking Wonder Man, aka his government name Simon Williams.
I would like to offer up that the MCU or the people behind the MCU don't care about new versus true because they always want new and keep what they have.
Okay.
So, and remember, you have an organization that is built up of people that love these characters and people that are only paying attention to what the income is coming in from developing these films.
Okay.
So, and you can tell just by looking at some of the movies, who are the ones that are true like comic book fans versus people who just know how to make a movie. You've seen that. So it becomes less of a point of new versus true because we got to tell a story that's going to bring in the most people. So now if you ask me, or if you did a poll that said, who would you rather see in a film, Reed Richards or Simon Williams, and even put in parentheses what their superhero name is, who would you want to see first? I'm willing to bet because of the familiarity with Reed,
everybody's going to go
want to see
Mr.
Reed.
Fantastic. Everybody's going to go with Mr. Fantastic.
Right. Which is why I'm saying that it's not too early to bring in a character like that.
If you Listen, man. There's a thing called. Oh man, I don't know how I can word this where it doesn't come out vulgar or inappropriate, but it's called. Oh man!
Can't wait to hear what this is.
I don't know if I should use it.
Okay. Well,
but in other words, it's premature. Okay.
Well, you've been saying that, but that sounds like you're basing it on a set of rules.
No, listen. These rules is basic.
Whose rules are they?
The way the MCU reveals certain characters,
mm-hmm.
they reveal them in a way where it's primed, it is productive and precise. Mm-hmm. This is why they pull back the Carol Danvers from showing up at the end of Age of Ultron. This is specifically why.
I do not see the correlation of what you're talking about.
You're gonna bring you got 3 episodes of this show. You're gonna bring in somebody like Reed to make a car to go into the Hex barrier, and then that be it until a Doctor Strange 2? No, you're wasting time and energy and everything else that's gonna fall into place.
Who?
Okay, fine. Reed Richards is gonna show up.
I'm not saying he showed up. I just want you to see that you are making up the rules in your head and you are spouting it out like it's a fact. That's all I'm saying.
I remember when I first thought I said it. Logically makes sense.
Right, but you are also basing it on a set of rules that are established by you.
Okay, all right.
They can they and look. Listen, they can bring in
my name is not Kevin.
Right.
I, however, wouldn't use Reed Richards.
I'm very clear that you wouldn't do it.
Maybe he might show up. I wouldn't use him though.
I'm very clear you wouldn't do it.
It's too early for Reed Richards. Reed Richards needs to make that splash. He needs to hit like. Do you remember when Mjolnir fell out the sky in New Mexico?
Yes.
And they pull a crater out there in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four is going to hit when they hit the screen.
Why do you believe that?
They're not coming in soft rolling no Disney Plus series. It's not gonna happen. You're talking the first family of Marvel. The first royal family of Marvel comics.
Hey, they don't have a first family royalty past.
Wow.
On the screen.
Okay.
On screen.
Okay.
On screen.
All right. Okay.
So, hey,
even when Kevin Feige verbally announced the Fantastic Four was coming, he said, and Marvel's first family. He said those words exactly.
Hey, I'm just saying that I am rooting for the Fantastic Four. I'm rooting for them to have a good showing.
I'm rooting for them too.
To have a good showing because it hasn't been very good in the past. That's all I'm saying.
Well, again, back then they were owned by who? Universal? Fox? It wasn't
whatever. Whoever. Someone who didn't treat them like the first family. So
and again, Marvel plays chess. They play the long game.
Yeah.
You and I have sat down and talked about this time and time again because that's what they play.
Yeah.
And if you just revealed in the last Investor Day that they're coming, why? And if you haven't casted yet, why would you throw him in now? What, for him to come in and do 2 lines and then exit stage left? Come on,
man. Hey, I don't see anything wrong with it. You do.
There's
clearly
too many things. there's too many things that tie Eric Williams to what we are seeing. And if there's stuff that ties Eric Williams, Simon is next door. Simon is right there on his left. So it's just no way that they would bring in Reed before they bring in Simon.
It's very possible that they'll bring in Simon Williams because no one's heard of him. Except the quote-unquote true fans.
Okay. Maybe
it's possible.
And again, I could say it might not even go that way.
It's possible they may not bring him to the screen ever.
Okay, let's say they don't. Mm-hmm. Let's say we don't see the aerospace engineer. We don't see the aerospace engineer in the next 3 episodes, then I'm going to be like, yep, I see Reed Richards.
Okay. That would make more sense to you. And I can see that.
Sense.
Yeah,
I can see that. We didn't see him. Mm-hmm. If this new armor vehicle, whatever, shows up and there's nobody, and we don't see an aerospace engineer, yeah, I'll be like, okay, yeah, hands down, Reed.
Okay.
Because they didn't throw him out all prematurely.
Man,
but I think her other guy is Doctor Strange.
I gotta admit, these projects that Marvel has revealed like since Endgame, it really like shine like a bright light on their future. Because I gotta admit, man, Endgame kind of did it for me. If they never made another Marvel film, Endgame kind of did it for me.
And here's the thing, Doctor Strange was part of the Illuminati.
Right.
Because he was head of the mystic world or the mystic arts.
Right. Hey, if
now,
they bring,
I don't know how versed you are about every time that they formed the Cabal. Because remember, again, the first time they formed the Illuminati, T'Challa was like, yo, this is a Cabal that's going to turn into a cancer. He walked away. Then when the Illuminati disbanded, the evil guys created their own Illuminati.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And remember, Lady Loki was on that Cabal.
I've only seen the picture. I've never read an issue that had Lady Loki.
Yeah. But again, that was a Cabal of bad people. Namor was again on that Cabal. A lot of people are speculating that Namor's coming. And
how about this? One thing, I don't know if we've said this on the cast before, but what is the significance of Namor?
What do you mean significance?
In other words, like, what does he mean to like the storyline in regards to Wakanda, Atlantis, the Illuminati?
Okay.
Like,
let me break this down in simplest terms. Okay. If you're talking Namor, now you have a direct link to Fantastic Four, mm-hmm. right? Because you know the whole thing with Namor and Sue.
I don't know anything about that.
Then you also have a conflict between the Atlanteans and Wakandans.
Mm-hmm. Now that I am familiar with.
So Namor could be something crucial to add in Doctor Strange 2. And if the article is spot on, if the Illuminati is coming, mm-hmm. then if Namor is going to be there, right? Mm-hmm. Because we already, let's say we look at the Illuminati that we have right now. Let's say if we're going to put together the Illuminati right now, mm-hmm. who have we seen so far other than Doctor Strange?
We've obviously Tony Stark, but Tony Stark's dead.
Tony Stark is dead.
I mean, technically we've seen Xavier, but not in the MCU.
Xavier, you cannot use Xavier yet. We're talking that we've seen. And if we're talking about what we've seen that exists, the MCU exists.
Okay.
The Xavier that we've seen, or the 2 Xaviers we've seen, they were from Fox. And granted, they brought over Pietro or whatever, but unless they merge that whole thing and we see Patrick Stewart or what's the younger Xavier called?
I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
McAvoy or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's one of those, then we can't really say Xavier as of yet.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the only one that we've seen is Doctor Strange. Now, if the multiverse gets ripped open again, anything is possible. Then sure. But the 6 characters that made up the Illuminati, and I want to say I think it might have been 7, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 6 because it was Doctor Strange, Namor, Reed Richards, Charles Xavier, Tony Stark, and Black Bolt. Yeah, I think that's it.
I mean, Black Bolt, like I said, it's not like they haven't had Inhumans on TV, so it's very possible that this could be real. It's possible. And I think if they do bring them together in the Doctor Strange movie, that it would be like dropping a brick, not a microphone, a brick, because it'll be heavy, because I feel like there's so many different avenues that can open up between Fantastic Four, X-Men, and the whole Submariner or Atlantis versus Wakanda. It seems like you can go in any of those directions just by having them there.
Agreed. Now, if I don't want to say this is a theory, but it would be prime for bringing in something like Avengers versus X-Men.
Can I throw out something?
If this article is true, go ahead.
I would like, deep in my heart, I would like to see the X-Men come sooner than later. And here's the reason why. Because of the climate of our country.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if Disney and Marvel are ready to be that, like put themselves out there like that, because if you do the mutant versus humans theme and you do it right, it'll look like it does right now as far as our climate goes, and people will make the connection right away. So I don't know if they're ready to do anything like that, but in my heart, I would love to see the mutants versus humans.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who's bigger than the mouse?
No one.
No one. So if the mouse want to do it, the mouse can do it and not care who says what.
Well, let me say this though. They still have a board that is still made up of human beings. And if your board is not happy and your profits take a tumble, that's always an excuse.
Not going to take a tumble. You're talking about the number one in entertainment. Movies, shows. Number one.
If there's
number 2, 3, 4, 5. Number one.
There's an article, and I'd have to look it up, but my neighbor showed me an article about how the executives at Disney were like, they were paying attention to the numbers so heavily that they were surprised by the amount of revenue that they lost just from this whole Gina Carano thing.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I know that, there's tons of money coming in from all these different angles when it comes to Disney. But they do pay attention to those dollars.
They also have a buffer. Now, keep in mind, Cara Dune had a whole lot of toys and figures and everything. They had to pull all of that. So whatever money was spent in merchandising just went down the tubes. Here's the thing. That's not going to break their back. That's not even
none of it breaks the back.
They took a loss.
Right.
But that loss, they're going to just buff out their loss.
None of it breaks the bank. But the thing is, when you talk about social issues are some of those things that can break a company that looks like it's on top. Now,
here's the thing, though, and I have to say this before you continue. The mouse does not care. And if he did care, he would not have let Gina Carano go. If he cared that much, they would have not fired.
No, well, you're I think you might be jumping the gun a little bit, because you're talking about caring from a humanistic point of view,
a business, a financial standpoint.
Well, I'm talking. Well, it sounds more like you're talking about from a human standpoint about caring about these issues. But and I hear what you're saying about they'll take a loss. People will take a calculated loss. Like when I do my trading online, I have a risk tolerance for a particular trade that I'm entering into. So when you look at Gina Carano, they took time to decide if the fallout and the revenue that's lost from her is worth, is it a fair trade letting her go knowing that you're going to lose out on these things? And apparently the answer was yes, because they let her go. But Gina Carano is a person, whereas racism is an issue.
It is.
Right. And so,
but here's the thing, the mouse is not afraid to show racism. The mouse is not afraid to show prejudice behavior.
Well, the thing
is that's behavior.
You're not letting me finish though.
Okay, go ahead.
So, sorry. And maybe I'm taking too long to get to that point, and that's why you interrupted me. Maybe that's what it is. But my point is that the type of fallout that you can get from tackling a social issue is different than the kind of fallout that you will get from dealing with an individual based on a social issue.
Okay.
And so you have to, I don't know if you can truly weigh the effects of tackling a social issue as far as, I don't know if it can be really quantified, because I think there's some variables there that you can't account for until they actually happen. And so the article that I read talks about this particular video game company that was like way like in the stratosphere from like their games and their quality and their income, all that stuff. Like they were just, sky was the limit. It was they looked like they reached a status where they could not like fall down, just like Disney is right now. And they got caught on the wrong side of an issue, and I don't think they're even in business anymore. Now, again, this company is not a Disney, because Disney is a much like, it's, exponentially larger.
It's a juggernaut. It's a juggernaut.
But again, Titans can fall.
They can.
Right. And I would say that Disney is in a Titan atmosphere. And a Titan can fall if they're hit with a Titan-like weapon, if you follow. And a social issue can bring people together to put together like a Titan-ish weapon, if I'm making any sense. So I just don't want you to, I don't want us to seem like Disney is completely impervious. They know that there are things that can actually take them out of business.
But because Disney is so calculating.
Yes.
Listen, before they let her go, they had to have weighed options.
Yeah.
They had to weigh it out. And they had to look at the fact that, hey, it's a possibility that we pick up some backlash, or we lose some revenue, or whatever.
Right.
But because of what this represents, and we are not about that, we're going to make this executive decision to let her go.
Yeah. Hey, it was a calculated move.
That's just how the mouse works.
But again, they tried to account for everything, and what they were not able to account for was the amount of revenue that they would lose from Disney Plus.
But here's the thing: when COVID first jumped off, they didn't anticipate how much money they were going to lose, and they even said it. And what happened when they said that they were going to take a loss?
Yeah, well, they said that their stocks went up. Right.
Hey. Listen, man, the mouse have sold his soul to the devil. He can do no wrong. I say this all the time, and for different reasons.
Well, going back to the X-Men conversation,
Oh, it's absolutely primed and ready for X-Men to come in to play, especially with what's going on right now. Just like when they dropped the very first Iron Man. What was happening in the Middle East is why we saw Tony over in the Middle East. Because in the comic books, Tony wasn't in the Middle East. Tony was in certain parts of Asia. And Jensen was a little Asian dude. He wasn't an Arab dude. But because of what was happening in the Middle East, in the Gulf, it made more sense for them to put it in the Gulf, still use the same dude, just spell his name slightly different. And he wasn't Asian. He was Arab.
Yeah. Could you imagine them having shots of protests in the streets of humans versus mutants?
Absolutely.
And DC being on fire?
3 words. Black Lives
Matter. Yeah.
So if we can see that, we can definitely see what's happening with the mutants.
Yeah.
We can see the mutants being persecuted.
It is scary about how you can go back to some of the old comics from years ago and see some of the things that were said about, human rights and mutant rights and so on and so forth, and how relevant it is today. It's amazing how close it is.
Let me ask you a question.
What's that?
When you talking mutants, right? On that scale, persecution of the mutants.
Yeah.
Aren't you excited about seeing the way that they treat the mutants? Because even if we go back to when Fox were doing the mutants, they showed levels of persecution that the mutants were dealing with. Do you think mutants exist today?
Bro.
Well, I don't mean like in our era. I mean like
right.
Do you think that they exist right now in the MCU?
It would be awesome if they did it right now.
I believe the mutants exist right now in the MCU.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And here's why I say that, right? We see Monica DNA changing.
We went right back to WandaVision, didn't we?
Listen, right? It only makes sense for when Wanda shit crack open and she decides to spill out.
Yeah.
That some mutants who are not mutants yet, their powers that are dormant becomes active. Right? But they're mutants walking right now or currently living an everyday life, but because people don't know they're mutants and they keep their mutant abilities hidden, people just don't know that they are there. But they still exist.
Did you watch the I'm trying to think, what was that mutant show that I think they had like 1 or 2 seasons?
You talking about Legion?
Nope, not that one. It was crap, what was that show?
Yeah. You're not talking about Runaways, are you?
Nope, not Runaways. But it was on the same time frame though. It's the same time frame. It was tag on it because the girl and had a brother, and together their powers were like exponentially more impactful.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they were like running from, it was like complete like racism versus, or say humans versus mutants. Mutants are persecuted. They're on the run. Man, what was that show called? Now I gotta go look it up.
Nah, I have no idea what that one is. I really have no idea what that one is. But
the girl's on Big Sky now.
Yeah. So back to the Illuminati.
Yeah.
If they do the Illuminati, okay, Doctor Strange will be a prime plateau for that.
Yeah.
Because
by the way, the show's called Gifted. The Gifted.
Show's called what?
The Gifted.
Oh, yes. I remember that. Yes. With what's happening or what's about to happen in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, it only makes sense because it has to be opened up that wide. And if it's going to be opened that wide, you have to have some kind of order. And in order for you to have some kind of order, you're going to need some kind of people in charge to keep order. And that's
right.
where
well,
the Illuminati
basically
comes
like
in.
what the government was doing with the Sokovia Accords, trying to create some kind of order.
Yes.
But this is on a much larger scale.
Much larger scale.
Yeah.
Because now you're talking about individuals who are head of those groups, right. Those collective groups. You know, head of the X-Men, Xavier. Right. Head of Atlanteans. Head of the Fantastic Four. Head right. of the Mystic Arts. So if right. those three join forces with Stephen Strange, now you have the makings of the Illuminati. Mm-hmm. But guess what? You're still missing Tony Stark. You're still missing Black Bolt. Right. And what you're going to say? Well, let's go ahead and put T'Challa in the equation. Well, guess what? They're not recasting T'Challa, at least
not yet.
Not for Black Panther 2.
Right.
So what are you going to do?
Well, from that perspective, I could see why it's not a good idea.
Because every major person who is part of that Illuminati is running those organizations or running those groups of individuals.
But we've also seen them change stuff up, right? And so
yeah, absolutely.
They might change it up and just make up their own group.
There was a deleted scene from Endgame, I don't know if you saw it, where Doctor Strange and T'Challa was talking at the funeral about possible dangers coming.
No, I don't remember seeing them talking. I don't remember seeing anybody talking at the funeral.
Yeah. They released the photos, and I think one of the producers them did. I can't remember if it was Twitter or somewhere they released it, and people were talking about it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I think Kevin Feige snubbed it or yanked it from being released for the simple fact he had played #LongGame. Mm-hmm. So he's like, hey, I'm going to save this for later on because I'm going to drop this bomb on everybody. Mm-hmm. It only makes sense. And where the mouse is concerned, he is not making immature or premature moves. He's making strategic moves because, again, he's playing chess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very strong possibility that we see the Illuminati. I don't know how they're going to work it without Tony, because Tony have always been a pivotal anchor of the Illuminati.
Of course, they could always just replace it with another big brain.
It has the thing, though. Tony wasn't the big brain on the Illuminati. At least,
right,
he was just
in the
head
MCU, though. He was in the MCU. So
he was head of the Avengers, is why he was there. Mm-hmm. Remember, this is head of all these organizations and all right. these groups.
Right.
It wasn't for his big brain. You keep saying, "Oh, we got to have a big brain." I'm just
saying that's. I'm just saying. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you need to have a big brain in the Illuminati. I'm saying that in the MCU, that spot is not filled, and that spot is also a part of the Illuminati.
Yeah, I don't care about Tony and his big brain. Wakanda forever, man. My little sister got a big brain.
Yes. You can be like so
petty.
I don't even know what the word is sometimes.
Petty. Petty.
Yes. Petty.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Petty. Yes. You can be so petty sometimes.
Embrace the pettiness. But if you're going to talk Illuminati, you have for you to not do, let me tell you something. One of the biggest problems I had with Civil War was the players that they had and did not have.
Okay.
There was
who were the
no
ones you had a problem
Fantastic Four.
Who did they have that you had a problem with that they had?
Who did they didn't have?
All right, who did they not have that you had a problem
They did not have Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four was pivotal during Civil War. Remember, Reed was on one side, Sue and Johnny was on another side.
Yeah, but they couldn't do that.
Because they didn't have Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But that riff was so instrumental or strategic with where they were going with that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the comics, you remember there were times where when Sue came in and T'Challa was, because T'Challa could tell if you're lying. One of his heightened senses, he could tell by your pulse, your sweat, all these different things, okay? If you were lying. And he would bring in people and he would be asking you questions. And what he would be doing is, you know, almost like that human lie detector thing. And at one point, Sue said to him, "What are you doing to me? What are you doing?" Because she sensed the fact that he was doing what he was doing. And then she's like, you know, I'm not somebody that's faking here. I'm not, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's why when the time came for Tigra, when she came in there, he was able to sense something was wrong with her. And she was the spy that Tony had sent.
And that's all in Civil War?
That's in Civil War.
I read Civil War.
Yeah, you ain't, listen, you read the main books. You didn't read the off books, the side books.
They don't put it all together?
Even when they put it together, there's some of those little side stories that are missing.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, there were like either somewhere between 4 to 6 different Black Panther Civil War tie-ins. There were 4, I think there were 4, if I'm not mistaken, Spider-Man, 4 or 6 or 8 Spider-Man tie-ins to Civil War. There were a lot of these off-brands because of the armor that Tony had built for Spider-Man, which was the Iron Spider. He was able to spy on Spider-Man and find out about his spider sense. He didn't know about that.
Okay. No, I didn't know about that.
And Spider-Man actually switched sides in the comics.
Oh, really? From a signer to saying he was...
Yeah, he was on Team Iron Man. And when all that whole thing went south, you know, he stopped donning the red and gold spider armor, Iron Spider, and started wearing the red and blue again.
He always goes back to that, doesn't he?
Classic. Ain't nothing like a classic. We saw Captain America did it in part 2. Went back to that old classic, old faithful.
Old faithful. Yep. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, speaking of suits, man, I was watching The Winter Soldier the other day.
Okay.
That was a mean suit he had.
Bro, everything that the Winter Soldier wore, who were mean. What are you talking about? But what he's getting ready to wear in Falcon and Winter Soldier, with that vibranium.
No, I'm talking about Cap's outfit.
Oh, you're talking about Cap's outfit. Yeah. Which one? The first one or the second one?
In the first one, in like when the show starts, the one that
when he jumps out. Yeah, that's the stealth. That's the stealth suit.
Man, that thing was nasty, bro. That thing was nasty.
I liked his shield, but I don't understand why his shield was that color, and then he went back to the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Because he never had 2 shields, he only had 1 shield.
Right. Different paint jobs.
Would you paint it overnight? Like I never understood that. How it went from that to that. Because when you see him later on driving his bike, his shield is back to the red, white, and blue. So I didn't get that. But I'm sure a couple days went by, and you know, I don't know. I don't
know. Hey, maybe it was a different shield. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's go with that. Remember, the only piece of vibranium they had was Cap's shield.
Right. So he would have had to be throwing 2 different types of shields.
Yeah, it was 1 shield that he had. But hey, what I know? What do I know, man? This is what it is.
Maybe that's on the list of things that are the bloopers, you know, the things that they messed up on for continuity.
I don't know. But either way, if these 3 big shows up in Doctor Strange 2, it's gonna be epic if these 3 show up, because they have to reveal so much.
Yeah.
You have to introduce so much.
Yeah.
Think about it. If Namor shows up, you now have to introduce the Atlanteans. Right?
Right.
Okay, if Xavier show up, you have to introduce the X-Men. And if Reed shows up, you have to introduce Fantastic Four. So that's
all of which, well, let me just say this. Well, from a Fantastic Four perspective and an X-Men perspective, I think the fan bases are dying to have a good one.
Okay.
I know I am. I mean, I don't know what it is about the X-Men that I like so much about them. Maybe it's because of the fact that they're born with their powers, and they have to like navigate a world with these things. But
here's the thing about the X-Men: at a certain age, the X gene awakens.
Right.
Or manifests.
Right.
Remember Storm? When was the first time Storm powers manifest?
Couldn't tell you.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think she was 12, something like that. Adolescence, when her powers are awoken, something like that.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but it's even though you're born with this X gene, it takes a while for it to manifest. So it takes
I'm just saying, like, I don't know why I like the X-Men franchise as much as I do. No idea.
Well, I mean.
But they haven't been done well on screen. There's been a few, because I think First Class was really well done.
Yes, it was.
But they haven't had a lot.
I honestly like Days of Future Past as well.
Yeah, I would love to know more about or see more with Bishop on the screen.
Well, we might get that now that Disney now has their product. Now that Disney has their product back, I wouldn't put anything past it.
Yeah. I enjoyed having Cable in Deadpool.
Yeah. Well, we know Deadpool is coming to the MCU.
Yeah. Now, how's that gonna go?
They're gonna give him another story. He's still gonna be Deadpool, still gonna be doing his Deadpool thing. But
is he still gonna be like doing the Deadpool that we're used to? Because the Deadpool that we're used to, like, doesn't fit in the MCU.
It doesn't, because the MCU is rated PG.
Yeah.
Deadpool is rated R. And I think, if I was not mistaken, Feige did say that Deadpool is coming. Mm-hmm. And I think that's gonna be something all on its own, and it's gonna be rated R.
Man, but if Deadpool comes...
I think when he's running around with everybody else, when he comes to his shows...
If Deadpool comes, I would really like to see... was it X-Force? Yeah. X Factor. Which one are they? With Deadpool and Psylocke and Wolverine. And
when they're wearing the stealth colors, the gray and black or the silver and black.
Yeah, and isn't Archangel with them at that point too? Yeah, he's there. He's there because they're always concerned. Yeah. They're always concerned that he might lose it.
Yeah.
So that was that X-Force? Was it X Factor? I think it's X-Force.
I think it's X-Force. X-Force, yeah.
Bro, if you give me Deadpool, that's what I want to see. I want to see the real X-Force with Wolverine, Psylocke, the dude that's got the spaceship that, he's biologically connected to. Like, that's what I want to see.
I tell you what, though, they got to walk before they run. The first thing they got to do is they got to introduce the X-Men first before they give us.
Yeah, and then you still got to deal, in order to get Archangel, you got to do the whole transformation of him going from Angel to Archangel before you can even.
And then go back to
Yeah.
Warren.
What I would give to see that. Because them dudes were like a freaking hit squad.
They were. But I mean, before we get that, we got to get Alpha Flight before we get that.
Oof. Forgot all about Alpha Flight.
And here's the thing, man. There's so much story to tell here. And that's the thing why you cannot have, and I'm going to say it, premature ejaculation in literature.
That is vulgar. You should just left
I didn't want to say it.
You should just left it premature.
That's the only way that I could literally describe it.
No, you just had to get it in there some kind of way.
You cannot have something too early. Mm-hmm. Because what you do is you mess up the chemistry by forcing it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. In film, there's so much that's possible because you have if done correctly, you can tell parts of the story without showing parts of the story.
Okay.
And that can be done very well, so
yeah.
You don't need a movie for every single one of these different aspects that we've mentioned. You just have to, they're just boxes that you have to check off. Some of those boxes will be just audio only.
Yeah.
And some of them will be audio and visual. Some of them will be flashbacks.
Yeah. Yeah. We will get that. We get that. We definitely will get that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if Illuminati is coming in Doctor Strange 2, I'm like, give it to me.
Yeah. Hey, at this point, I'll take whatever
you give it to me. If when you do give it to me, don't mess it up. Because if you mess it up, I'm gonna crap all over it.
I mean, the films that I probably like, I know that they're important because they tell different parts of the overall storyline, but I could have done without the Ant-Man stuff in the MCU. So as long as I don't get too many things like that where they're silly, like I like the good, action or mystery, like I'll take or powerful, like I'll take those kinds of movies. But I understand that you have to have films like, Ant-Man and to kind of push towards include a different fan base, I should say, because you got a friend that he loves Ant-Man. That's his guy.
Yeah. Shout out to my man TJ Davis down there in Orlando. Miss you, TJ. Gotta hit you up sometime soon.
Yep.
He had an amazing theory the other day when he called me. He called me about the Soul Stone, about Cap putting back the Soul Stones, or putting back the stones and putting back the Soul Stone. And it was an amazing theory. And I'm like, I got to see how I could break this down and talk about this. But
I would love to hear that.
Yeah, that's
because
that's a 45-minute thing. So
does he even have to return the Soul Stone?
He really does not.
Because you weren't getting Black Widow back for bringing the Soul. Like, here, I want to give you this back.
Yeah, you definitely can't get that back. But hey,
the only stones he has to have back were the Time Stone has to get put back.
Mm-hmm.
The Space Stone has to get put back.
All the stones need to be put back except
the Soul Stone.
For the Soul Stone. And if you ever did any research on it, the Soul Stone was the most, I guess you could say, crucial stone.
Mm.
Yeah.
Man.
But that's for another cast. We coming up on close time here.
We got to talk about. We do have to talk about one more thing because I hear that you've gotten some emails.
Yes, I have gotten some emails
about the upcoming DC versus Marvel.
Yes.
So, you mind, Phil? For those who didn't know,
for our listeners, make sure you send in your email so you want to be on this debate royale that we're doing, DC versus Marvel. Send in your email. We shoot you out a questionnaire, answer the questionnaire. No campy answers. Answer it straightforward. Know your source material before you answer it. Take it very serious. We're going to choose. Once we choose, we're going to select and go from there. Make sure to email us at APodcastAboutComics tchallabp74@gmail.com. We are filling up fast. We are getting in emails, guys, so make sure you get your emails in. All right. Anything else before we get out of here, Keitanooo?
No, man. I have fun tonight.
Yeah, man. Illuminati, brother.
I managed to hang in there conversation-wise tonight, without any help.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It wasn't.
Would it be in February? The next cast we do, it gotta be about Black Panther. Today, is it today or yesterday? I think it's today. Marked the 3-year anniversary of the movie release.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's old.
Yeah, 3 years, man.
It's an old film.
3 years. So it's not that old, man. It's still.
I know. Impactful. I'm just saying that time passes by so fast that it's already old.
Yeah, it really is. But we're gonna talk about should Chadwick be recasted. So guys, stay tuned for that. That cast is coming soon. I'm gonna see if I can get this young lady to be on the cast. She is probably one of the biggest Black Panther fans, female fans that I know. She knows her source material. We're gonna see if we could get her on the show. Hopefully, keep your fingers crossed for that. All right, anything else before we get out of here, brother?
No, sir. All
right. In the meantime, this is your boy, Tchallabp74 and my man,
Keitanooo.
You guys have a great evening.
Have a great evening.